Patmos is one of those ports where the map lies to you. You look at it and think, small island, quick stop, easy day. Then you step off the tender and realize the entire reason you came is sitting on a hill you can't see yet. This guide shows you how to do Patmos right in a single port day, and how to avoid the mistake that leaves people racing downhill with 20 minutes to spare. Stay with me, and I'll walk you through it step by step. Your ship anchors in the bay, and you tender in. That's the reality of Patmos. The port is too small for the big cruise ships to tie up alongside, so unless you are on a smaller vessel, you are taking a tender boat into Skala. Skala is the main harbour town, with whitewashed buildings, a long promenade, and a few rows of cafes and shops along the waterfront. But the thing you are actually here to see is not in Skala. It is up in the hills, about 4 kilometres above you, and that one fact changes how you need to plan the day. Hilltop. So the big decisions here are how you get up to the hilltop village, whether you stop at the Cave of the Apocalypse on the way, and how much time you leave for wandering Skala at the end. A quick note on tours. Cruise line excursions are easy, but you often pay much more for the same experience. Local tours usually offer smaller groups, better value, and more time at the actual sites instead of waiting in big groups. The reputable ones know cruise timings and build in a sensible return buffer. On Patmos specifically, the public bus up to the hilltop village runs cheaply and fairly often, but it is timed to the island's rhythm, not yours. I'd head straight for the Cave of the Apocalypse. It sits halfway up the hill between the harbour and the hilltop village. If you take the bus, you can get off here, spend time at the cave, and catch the next one up. This is where Saint John is said to have received the Book of Revelation. You walk down worn stone steps into a small, low-ceilinged cave carved into the rock, and inside there's a silver-ringed indent in the stone, where tradition says he rested his head while dictating to his disciple. Here's something most cruisers miss. There is a crack in the rock that runs across the cave ceiling in 3 distinct lines. Guides will tell you it represents the Holy Trinity. Whether you believe the story or not, standing in there in silence is something you will not forget. And one rule to know before you get there: no photography is allowed inside. The first mistake people make shows up right here. Shorts, tank tops, and sleeveless shirts will turn your way at both the cave and the monastery. This is a working religious site, not a photo stop. Keep shoulders covered and knees covered for both men and women. Bring a light cardigan or a longer shirt you can throw on before you step inside. I have watched families walk all the way up the hill and get sent back at the gate because nobody told them. From the cave, continue up to the hilltop village and the Monastery of Saint John. This is the one. If you only do one thing today, make it this. It's a fortress monastery that has stood on that hilltop for nearly 1,000 years, founded in 1088. Dark stone walls, a maze of internal courtyards, ancient chapels with frescoes darkened by centuries of candle smoke. The treasury holds manuscripts and gifts from Byzantine emperors. But the moment that lands hardest for most people is stepping out onto one of the upper terraces and looking down. You can see the whole island, the turquoise water, the little harbour you tendered into, and beyond it, the white dots of neighbouring Greek islands scattered across the Aegean. This is one of those ports where a small group tour can genuinely help. They handle the drive up and down, they know the dress code, and a good guide makes the monastery come alive in a way self-guided wandering just does not. When you head back down to the harbour, lunch is the easy part. Sit at one of the tavernas along Skala's waterfront, where you can still see your ship at anchor. Order a Patmian cheese pie. They use a local cheese called Mizithra, made from goat's milk and matured in seawater. When it is baked fresh in phyllo, you get a savoury, slightly salty centre you will not find anywhere else. Pair it with grilled octopus. You may see octopus drying on lines outside some of the kitchens, which is how you know it is local and it is that day's catch. It is all good value. This is not a port where food is going to break the bank. Second mistake, grabbing the first taxi you see when you step off the tender and asking to be taken around the island. Taxi drivers on Patmos are not trying to swindle you, but they do know how cruise schedules work. They will build you a loop that gets you back to the harbour just in time, which means you are rushed at every single stop. Either take the local bus, which runs regularly between the harbour, the cave and the hilltop village for a couple of euros, or book a tour that is actually built around cruise ship timing. The difference between the two approaches is whether you get to breathe at the top or whether you are looking at your watch the whole time. If you still have time after the monastery, don't leave the hilltop village yet. Wander. Most people walk straight past this. On the eastern edge of the old town, there are 3 restored white windmills that frame one of the best views on the entire island. The monastery is on one side, the harbour and the Aegean on the other. And the alleyways themselves are a slow pleasure. Narrow, whitewashed, quiet in a way that does not feel staged. There is no gift shop gauntlet. You are just walking through somebody's actual village. Budget day, take the public bus up for a couple of euros each way. Expect to pay around €6 for combined entry to the cave and the monastery, plus a cheese pie and a coffee back down in Skala. You can do Patmos for the price of a cocktail back on the ship. Premium day, book a guided small group tour that covers the transport, gives you proper context at both sites, and manages the timing for you. You will pay more, but you will get back to the tender unrushed and with a much fuller picture of what Patmos actually is. Honestly, this is one port where a guided option saves you real stress. The sites are concentrated at the top of a hill. The dress code is strict, the photography rules are strict, and the tender window is tight. A tour removes the 3 things most likely to go wrong. Third mistake, and this one is the big one, misjudging how long it takes to get back to the tender. The monastery is a deceptively long visit. Most people underestimate it by half an hour. The bus down does not run every 5 minutes. There are gaps. If you miss one, you may be waiting 20 or 30 minutes for the next. Combine that with the fact that tenders form a queue and run on a schedule, and suddenly you are the passenger standing on the dock watching the last boat pull away. So work backwards from your all aboard time. Build in a full hour between leaving the hilltop and the last tender, not 30 minutes, a full hour. Catch the bus or a taxi back down to the harbour. The tender jetty is right in the middle of Skala's waterfront. You can't miss it. If you have time before you need to board, don't rush onto the first tender. Grab a cold drink at one of the waterfront cafes, sit for 20 minutes, and watch the island slow back down. Skala empties out fast once the cruise passengers start heading back, and what is left is just a small Greek harbour at the end of an afternoon. Fishing boats, a couple of dogs asleep in the shade. The smell of someone's grill starting up for dinner. We've added our favourite local tours in the description below. They are good value, they run in smaller groups, and they always get us back to the ship on time. Tell us how you would spend your day in Patmos and keep watching for the next port.